All right. Interesting background and everything. Just wanted to know, can everyone hear me? Let's start with that, first of all, because I do have a fan going in the background and I'm wearing a sweater, a nice black sweater. So just need to know if everyone can hear me okay as well. So I have on my phone a couple of cheat sheets in general of what I want to talk about, but this is kind of something that was long overdue in general about basically answering questions that you guys might have, but also just kind of reconnecting. Because for me, I don't know if you guys know, I've taken kind of a social media hiatus, much needed in a way. I was kind of absorbing a little too much of the negativity going around in general. And of course, everything, that's happened in the last 2 years, things are a lot different now. And, I commend you guys for being the reason for that. But also it took a toll on a lot of people, me included. And so just took a little break, but I was excited to do this live stream, excited to talk to you guys, excited to answer questions because I didn't fall off the face of the earth, and haven't stopped on the docu-series at all. I've been working on it, as a lot of people I'm seeing on the chat are part of the team, which is great in that way. And so for me, I think the most important thing is kind of touching bases, but also kind of explaining what I'm feeling, but also the whole atmosphere and vibe of what's going on in social media in general, because it's something that's important for you guys to know as well. I'm someone fortunate enough to be kind of not 2 steps ahead or 3 steps ahead or anything like that. It's just I'm privy to information that you guys aren't privy to. So certain things I do in kind of anticipation to some other project that might be coming down the pipeline. For example, something like the Broadway play or other things that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about, but I'm ahead of that in that way, that I do know what it's about. I do know what's going on in that way, and kind of everything fits like pieces of the puzzle. But one of the things that I wanted to really express with social media in general, what we're dealing with as a community, is I've noticed that there's this vibe of the ever-changing latecomers of the truth, for say, or maybe people that are just celebrating Michael more openly. Of course, we've been there since the beginning, and we're still here, but it's been hard in that way. But I also want to make sure that we're a little easier on them, because it's kind of nice to accept people. I mean, obviously people that are just bandwagon or fair weather, I think, I don't know, fair weather fans or whatever the word is, that's different in that way, if they're just doing it because it's trendy. But there's a lot of people that are really open to the truth, and they've learned the truth, and now they're coming around, or they were mistaken before. And it's important to be open to that as well. And I also know we've been fighting so hard. This is one of the reasons I took a break, was we were fighting so hard, so strong against the opposition, in that way that almost it came to the point where, when the opposition basically was, I don't even want to say disappeared, because it didn't disappear. It's just they went into hiding. It's kind of like we started fighting among ourselves, and we have to be careful about that as well. I saw a lot of infighting in the fam in that way, because we were so amped up and ready to defend Michael, and I hate using that word. I don't know why I just used it, but to basically be there for him in that way, that now they're kind of in hiding, the other ones. I don't want to say their names, but the other ones. And so now we're kind of been fighting among each other. And I think that was one of the reasons I kind of took a break from social media too, because that's painful for me to see people that I've been on both sides and that I've been rooting on, and people that I've become familiar with, and now they're fighting among each other. each other. So that's that in that way. In terms of me being, it's weird because I always consider myself a family member, but also at the same time, I'm such a fan of my uncle and such a fan of what he's done. And that's also been something that I've been able to kind of jump in between and kind of understand the differences of what you guys might be going through in terms of lack of information, and then also being privy to inside information. So I don't know what I can tell you or what I can't tell you, but I can tell you that there is a lot down the pipeline of this isn't the quiet, of, okay, there's nothing coming out or anything like that. There's a lot coming out, and I'm very happy with what I see coming out. And it's perfect environment for stuff like my docu-series as well. And in that way, because the more people that learn the truth about Michael or that are open to the truth, then the easier it is on everyone in that way. And so I'm going to be saying a lot of ums, and I'm also going to be reading a lot of questions too, because that was the reason we're doing this, not just for my soapbox in that way. So there's another let me get to some questions too, but I just wanted to touch base mainly and kind of just because I'm not in hiding or anything like that. It's just, it does take its toll, social media in general, especially when it's just negative and it's just purely negative. And with my uncle's streams going up and the the viewership of his YouTube videos and everything is going up. People are celebrating him, and it's great to see in that way. But there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Okay. Yeah, the black background is temporary. I'm in my garage right now, and it's just a black background. But Terrell actually just left here. I was giving him some video lessons, and so that's why I was late. I'm going to blame it on Terrell, and you guys can tell him that too. But it was great seeing my bro. So let's see. And I promise I'm going to try and keep this live stream shorter, because I went back and listened and watched a little of my live streams, and it was very long in that way. So I'm not going to do that. New material. I'm seeing some questions on that. That's a good question. I'm not privy to the release of new material, new albums or anything like that. I do know that my uncle's situation is a little different than Prince's situation, the artist Prince. He didn't have vaults and vaults of new music in that way. So I don't know what the estate has, and if they only have it in demo form or whatever. I don't know that information in that way. Also, my uncle being such a perfectionist, it has to be something that is done to the quality that he would want it to be done in that way. Unless it stayed in demo form, would be the hard thing. Yes, I should probably show some of these. Am I aware about the USA Today? Yes, I am. Yeah, that was a lie that started, and about, I forgot how many people 20-something people died at a Michael concert and whatever, and that was a blatant lie. And I'm happy that USA Today corrected it. It's about time that mainstream media starts doing that, and I commend USA Today and the journalist that did it. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but I did end up following her, and I am thankful for her as well for doing that and putting it out there, because it's needed. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Just keep the questions coming too, because let's see. Do me and my brothers plan on doing another album? That's a good question. We have a couple performances coming up next year, and I can't imagine not doing another album with my brothers. I love performing with them. I love recording with them, and it's a lot of fun. We're brothers too, so there's a lot of bickering, a lot of back and forth, but at the same time, it is our legacy as well in that way. So yes, I would assume so. Terrell should have stayed. Yeah, he had to go somewhere though. I tried to convince him, but he had to go somewhere. Taj, am I going to attend the BTS concert in 2 weeks? No, I'm not, unfortunately. I wanted to so bad. I do know that they come into town very soon. And I say that only because, I don't know, I still might figure out a way to do that. But as of now, I don't have tickets. Oh, and another thing, guys, just so that you know, one of the hardest things about these live streams, because I know sometimes I'm coy and I don't say certain things, it's only because there are a lot of people listening to this, and there's certain people listening to this that like to twist words and meanings that I've said, and if I mispronounce or missay something, then it's like a gotcha to them and all that stuff. And I don't rehearse this stuff. I don't even write this stuff down. I have little cheat notes in there that just say one word, just so that I'm not blabbering for this whole time period, but that's it in that way. And so I'm not trying to hide information from you guys unless I can't say that information. It's just mainly there are certain things that I know will be used against us as a community and my uncle. And it's nothing criminal. It's just something that they just like twisting words around. Okay. BG's doing great. Will our film family channel be back? That's a good question. You know, BG, myself, and Prince, we always talk about movies still, whether through text or over the phone. And so that depends. It's a scheduling thing right now, so I don't have an answer for that. I know it's something we always talk about in general. I know we had so much fun doing it as well. So hopefully, we'll see. If Michael was here, what do you think he would want to tell his fans? That's a good question. I actually thought of that yesterday. And that was one of the reasons I was one of the topics I wanted to talk about for this live stream is just two people that I really admire, family members, talked to me yesterday, and they reminded me about something that I didn't forget, but I was so caught up in this is, a war, this is something that we have to fight, that I forgot about my uncle's message about unity and bringing people together in that way. And that's something that I might have lost track of in that journey because I was just so, I don't want to say aggressive because I wasn't aggressive, but so fixated on the truth and getting the truth out there that I did forget about that overall message and what my uncle represented, and that he had people of all different races, all different cultures, all different religions, politics, anything in that in general. And so that is one thing that I do want to, for me, emphasize more, because that's who he truly was in that way. And he unified people through his music and through his message. So I do want to start practicing that more, only because that's something that I was taught through him, taught through my family, and it's something I need to be doing. And I kind of lost track of that. Sorry, guys. So I'm reading these. I'm just trying to see which ones are questions. I know it's boring watching me read, so hold on 1 second. Okay, I'll just start clicking. I hope you're well. Yeah, the Thriller Night party was a great party. That's something that benefited Hill LA, and it was a great night for them. It was a great night in general. It was a lot of fun. It's a lot of work and it's super tiring, but I know everyone enjoyed it. But yeah, that was another reason for the break in general. It's just a lot of just recharging on my end in that way. And I gotta a 3-year-old birthday party to kind of organize in that way with me and my wife for Taylor's birthday party coming up, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We have a little surprise for her in that way, but it's also something that is time consuming. How is my mental health? It's interesting because I don't do well with like a lot of negativity around me. That's one thing that's kind of probably my Achilles heel. In that way is just because I absorb a lot of energy, positive or negative. So I don't like being around negative people. I don't like a lot of hostility around me. I can feel it and it affects me. But also, I haven't been getting as much sleep as I want, as you can see with the bags under my eyes, just because I got 2 young daughters and they're kind of on different time schedules and time in terms of waking up when they want to wake up and going to sleep when they want to go to sleep. So that's been the tough thing. And also simultaneously still working on the docu-series and trying to fit that in, because that's a priority as well. And to the point where it's done to the standard that I think you guys would be extremely proud of, but also that I know I would be proud of as well. What is the progress of the docu-series? I know every time I get on here, I say I can't say much in that way. It's the docu-series has taken different routes and avenues, and the people that have helped me on it so far, I'm extremely grateful for, and for all your guys' contributions in general, because I definitely think, and this is, I don't like to overpromise anything, but I 100% believe that the docu-series or doc-series, whatever you want to say, is going to be I don't want to say life-changing, but it's going to be something that is super important when it comes to Michael's legacy in that way, and also something that you guys are extremely proud of. And there's a lot of not behind the scenes stuff or whatever private stuff that I can't talk about, but there's a lot of stuff that is just, even for the diehard fan, would not know. And I think that's exciting, because there's stuff that I didn't know as a family member that spent so much time with them. So I can only imagine that there's going to be a lot of stories that you guys don't know. And that's exciting for me as well, because you're going to feel like you got to know Michael better through this series. Lena says, the love shown, the MJ lately with nods and songs and soccer, and that, yeah, I think all of that stuff in general is just so, it really makes me happy, honestly, because it's something that he deserves. We all know he deserves it. It's something that this man had to go through so much, even after death. They're trying to destroy his legacy. So to see the course correction, people honoring him, and people blatantly including him in songs as an honor, is something that I know me and my family appreciate in that way, and I'm sure you guys do too. And there is going to be more of that, because every person that does that, there's another person that sees that and will do that as well. And there's a lot still on the sidelines, still kind of hiding, I would say, but I know who they are. I'm a little behind on questions. Sorry about that, guys. We are very aware of the music videos on YouTube. That is something that we are pressing for, to up that quality. The high HD, at least 4K would be best. But we are aware of that. That's something that is important to us as well, especially since Michael Jackson made the greatest music videos of all time, so his should be the standard in that way. So that is something we are aware of, and something that I will also push for. So I hope that answers your question. I've seen your guys' comments about that, and just I do take heart to that. And so thank you guys for not only reminding me, but just your concerns, because you guys are you're the important ones, and that you are the fan base. You are the ones that everyone should be accommodating to. What is... Why is no music coming out from me? Because I'm doing this series. I would love to do music again. In general, I would do it probably like Bruno Mars now is doing it, with like an alias and different style. It wouldn't be more reminiscent of 3T. It would be something different, maybe a different decade or whatever. But I haven't had the time. Both my brothers have released music, and in general, my project is the series. So that's one thing that I don't even want to say sacrifice. I'm honored to do it, but that's one thing that I haven't been able to do is music. But this is a priority. This is more important to me. What is your favorite memory of your Uncle Michael? There's too many, and in that way, one of them that I would say is a go-to is that, and I've probably said this before, is that Dutch village in Japan. I don't even want to try and pronounce it, but it was during 94 tour, and we went with our uncle, and we just laughed the whole time. And it was something that was needed because it was after the fake allegations or the extortion, whatever you want to call it. And it was hitting him hard in that way. And so going there and just having a lot of fun and smiling and laughing. I mean, he laughed. When I say he laughed louder than I've ever heard him laugh in general. And he has a funny, as you guys know, he has a funny, loud, obnoxious laugh that is so heartwarming when you hear it, because you made him laugh really well. And so I would say that is probably one of my most enduring memories, because when you can make someone laugh when they really need it, when they're not feeling up to par with because they're getting slandered and libeled and all that stuff, it feels good, because at least you brought that happiness to him. I'm always thinking if we can have a free Britney from MJ. I do too, and I think that's one of the things that this docu-series is going to be extremely helpful with in general. Just like the Free Britney, that started out as a movement way back in the day with the fans, and that's the same thing with what you guys are doing in general. But it was a documentary that brought it to the public eyes, the ones that weren't fans, and I think it did a lot in that way. And I think that this series will do just as much, if not bigger, because there's a lot to go through in that way. And this is decades of abuse that Michael faced as well. And so I think there will be that same empathy for Michael as there was for Britney. And I'm super happy for Britney in that way. Will Tom Mesereau be in the docu-series? He should be a priority. He is a priority. He's always a priority. We've already shot Tom Mesereau's part in the docu-series. So, and if we have more questions, we will definitely shoot Tom again as well, because Tom's a source of information, but also that trial, I call it was like a witch hunt in a way, and Michael should have never have gone through that trial. And it just shows the injustice. But Tom is such a source of knowledge in that way. So I would say we probably would interview him again anyway. So I think I answered the best memories. Am I going to sell the MJ cap that you are wearing? No. I love this cap. Unless I can find like 5 more of these caps, just because this cap, when I put on this cap, I put on this cap during the press tour, or whatever you want to call it, of Leaving Neverland, of, you know, me and my dad and uncles going on these TV shows and telling the truth about who my uncle was in that way. And it's become something that, like a badge of honor for me, like almost like I want people right away to know where I stand by just seeing this. And even if you don't hear my voice, it's muted or whatever, you see the MJ logo. And I'm so grateful to the person that, I can't even remember who gave this to me. I know I got it in Italy, but I'm grateful for the person that gave me this and actually held on to it for about, I don't know, pretty while, because at that point I think I still had braids. So I was like, I can't wear it right now, but I'll hold on to it. And so I brought it home. And then once I took the braids out and this happened, I was like, this is the perfect hat to wear. And I wore it all through every interview I've done since then. Oh, one of the things that I did want to discuss, let me hide this current comment. One of the things I did want to discuss, because it is something that I can understand people's concern and what people are thinking in certain ways, is like, you know, I've heard the story of like, oh, you know, it's been 2 years or 2.5 years, whatever it's been, you know, we shouldn't bring it up again. You know, people have forgotten about the Leaving Neverland and it's over, or Leaving Neverland 2 is coming out. Don't bring it up. Don't bring this up. We made that mistake in 2013 when Wade first tried this nonsense. And I'll never forget being told, you know, that no one believes him, so just let it go. And that's what we did. We let it go. The media let it go. And then here we are now dealing with the same nonsense. And so I've always equated those kind of people as a cancer. You have to get rid of it. You have to get in there and do that surgery, in terms of we've already exposed them, but now it has to be consensus to the public in a way that there's no lingering doubt. And I think that's the thing. As long as there's lingering doubt, it's gonna be that stain on my uncle's legacy that they're gonna always bring up, because that's the only thing they can to try and bring, I guess, their idols or their, you know, artists above Michael, is to bring up those kind of things, kind of put an asterisk next to him in that way. So it's one of those things that we have to clear the air in that way. It's detriment. And I've seen the pattern already when we think, oh, let's not bring it up, let's not talk about it, let's just ignore it, it'll go away. You know, you got the ones that have been there long enough know that it doesn't go away. It's like a 10-year cycle. It just keeps repeating itself, and they will never let it go away. Let's see. I know you guys want new songs. I want new songs too, but we got to make sure there are new songs. That's the thing. I don't know if there are any new songs or not. I'm not saying there isn't, or I'm not privy to that. As I said before in one of my other live streams, 100% Love Never Felt So Good, even though it's not a new song, but just hearing it, it still to this day brings an emotion to me that a lot of the other songs don't, just because it's so new to me in that way. And I love hearing Michael's version, or I should say the real version. Let's see. Taj, are the Jacksons going to release the Destiny, Triumph, or Victory tours in HD? I would love for that to happen. Those tours were incredible tours, and you've probably seen stuff like that on YouTube and stuff. I know tapes exist on that. I think it's something that needs to be done as well. And so I don't know in that way. I know there's tapes of those concerts, and they could easily be probably brought to HD. So I would hopefully assume so. I know my uncle wanted those tours on to be displayed as well. Uh, What platform will your doc premiere on? We need to reach your masses and media on the same scale as the sham living now. Yeah, that's one of the things that is the priority for me. That's one of the reasons why I haven't gone to just the cable network and tried to pre-sell it in general. Because for me, if it doesn't reach the masses, then we're in an echo chamber. We're watching it ourselves, and it has to reach that worldwide audience. Just like that sham did in that way. So yes, that is one of the priorities for me, is to make sure that whatever platform it's on, that it reaches everyone and everyone has a chance to see it. Okay, let's see. So Bayless Wagner was the person that did the USA Today. Thank you, Sharina. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was because I couldn't remember the name. So thank you. And yes, I started following her. Hopefully, I can contact her if she follows me back, and then you know talk to her. I've always made it a point to anyone that wants to DM me that's in the media or anything like that and wants to know the truth. I'm here. So I've never ran from that. Am I able am I able to release Michael's song on YouTube so we can use him? No, I get copyrighted righted strikes just like you guys do. My tribute when we did the Code Z Thriller thing got copyrighted striked um, in 2009 or 10, 2010 I think it was. So no, I have to be just as careful as you guys do about that. Am I going to make another watch along? That's a good question. There was a watch along that I was thinking about doing eventually, because we did watch a couple Amazing Stories, but there's one that we haven't watched that Michael loved as well. That might be an interesting one to do. And there's some movies as well that he really enjoyed. So it was fun. I don't know if it's something you guys would want. If you do, let me know. Because I don't know the temperature in that way. Do I know if Ghost was originally filmed on widescreen or in standard TV screen format? I don't. I've seen it in both, and I don't know which one it was initially filmed in. I should find that out in general. I know there's a great version online on YouTube that's not widescreen. But then I've seen widescreen as well, and so I don't know that answer. Knowing my uncle, I would assume he wouldn't do fourth. I assume he would do widescreen, but I'm not. I don't know that answer. Since you're married to a singer, do you sing together as a family? If yes, which songs take care of you? Oh, sweet. And if you don't know, this person is the one that does the awesome 3T kind of J5 style cartoons, which are amazing. Do we sing together? Yeah, we do. I know that sounds corny, but we do, especially to our daughters in general. Taylor is still, such a BTS fan, as am I, as is my wife. Toria is, but she can't express it yet. But we probably listen to BTS. We listen to 3 songs in rotation every day, at least twice a day, and that's we start with Permission to Dance, then we go to Butter, and then we go to Dynamite. And that's Taylor's list of songs, watching the videos. And she demands that in the morning, and then if she sees me in the evening and I'm at the bed, she demands that as well. And honestly, I love the songs too, so it's nothing for me to do that. I know how to play them on the piano now as well. But so yeah, I am a little crushed. If that earlier question about not going to the concert, yeah, I'm a little crushed about that. I don't know if there's a age limit for Taylor. I would have loved to bring her, but I think she's too young at 3 years old. But yeah, we start our day with pretty much BTS, and her evening ends before she goes to bed with BTS. Okay, let's see. It's not that we don't like the other songs as well. But just my daughter, those are the ones that she's heard so far. And so that's what she goes with. Do any of my brothers speak Spanish? And do you listen to Spanish music sometimes? I love Spanish music. We used to know a little Spanish. My mom spoke Spanish fluently. We should speak Spanish because we're half Spanish. But we don't. I can understand it way better than I can say it, but I do understand it pretty well. So if there's two people speaking in Spanish, as long as they're not speaking too fast, I can kind of follow what they're saying. How am I doing on the? Am I answering the questions okay for you guys in that way? Because I'm trying to get to the ones, and it's just. Did my uncle follow any sports? And if he had, like, favorite sports, if he had any. Follow any sports? He wasn't really following any sports series. I mean, throughout my life and being around him, honestly, I know he was a fan of boxing in terms of like the Muhammad Ali, obviously, and knowing who the boxer was at that time, the greatest boxers, and all that. Basketball, he obviously knew Jordan and then Kobe and all that stuff, and in that way, but he wasn't someone that watched the series. Not like my grandma and my Auntie Rebe or my Uncle Jackie. Like, they watch to watch in that way. Baseball, I don't think he liked it. He would come to games that which was so awesome. Come to our Little League games, and no one knew that it was him there. But he would come to our games, and we'd always know because it was a certain Mercedes, and the windows would be tinted. But it was always great to see him in that way. So, and what an awesome uncle to come to his nephew's baseball game. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I love watching family reactions, like MJ, J5, Janet reactions. It reminds me, especially if people are just discovering them. I did respond to the Jack Reacts one. There is something magical about the Jackson family. That is one of the things that I'm so proud, is because their music transcends decades and genres in that way. And I've always said that it's a blueprint for other people. And so listening or watching someone discover Michael for the first time, or Janet, or the Jackson 5, or the Jacksons, or any of the family, is super exciting. And it's one of those things that brings joy to my face. Would I ever make an album based on my uncle's Innocence? So I can't say. That's something. No, I shouldn't say anything. Next question. Sorry, we said that one. I'm pushing off of it. Just do I have all the state-of-the-art filming equipment needed for the 100%? That's one of the things that I made sure of. thanks to you guys in general, my uncle taught me one thing that was super important. I mean, he taught me many things, but the one thing he taught me was that if I had the equipment, then no one could stop me in that way. And so that's why I've always been so confident with telling you guys this docu-series is going to happen, because I don't have to rely on anyone to make this happen. And I think that's the benefit of it. If I was relying on someone with equipment, or someone, if I didn't know how to use the equipment or anything like that, then that would be a different story. But everything that I own, everything that I've used, I know how to use it, and I know the mechanics behind it. Now, that doesn't mean that that's how I want to do it. That's just, if that's the worst case scenario, this will be made extremely well, and it will be made to a standard that is, I don't know. I would say I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with, I'm not a perfectionist anymore. I'm former perfectionist, but I'm high up on that bar still in that way, just because of the Jackson brand and the Jackson name. It has to be a certain quality. I won't kill myself over the perfection aspect of it, because nothing can be perfect. It could be near perfect, but no, this is going to be something that I think for decades and decades to come will be the blueprint for stuff on Michael Jackson, in terms of, this is the introduction of, like, you have to watch this if you love his music. Does Taylor have any favorite Michael or 3T songs? You know, she's such a BTS army person right now that every time I try and play her My Uncle or the Jackson 5 or my Aunt Janet or anyone else, or even our music, or even Tiana's music, she doesn't want to hear it. So it's just funny, because she's just like, she's at that stage, like she just has her 3 songs that she wants to listen to, and it just goes on rotation. But she does recognize that it's one of us, or she knows that Michael's voice and all that stuff, or the Jackson 5 in that, and Janet's voice. She does recognize it. It's just, she always asks for, midway through the song, she asks for a BTS song. If 3T could perform a cover of an MJ song, which song do you feel would suit best? Ooh. It's hard with a cover of an MJ song. I know he wanted us to do Burn This Disco Out, but that was because he wanted us to do an up-tempo, and he loved that song. He said that song never got its justice. We haven't done it in that way. I also know he wanted us to do Man of War, but that's a Jackson song. He wanted to do that with us. Never got a chance to do that, but that was something that he wanted to do. That's one of my grandma's favorite songs. So it's hard. I mean, covers of MJ songs are so difficult, because it's so him. Like, even when you cover his song, unless it's something completely different, it's like it sounds like a karaoke version of it in that way, unless it's something that you bring as your own style. Can you buy the hat? I don't know. If you guys find out where to get these hats, please let me know, because I will be buying them too. This is a good one. What is my favorite Jackson 5 Christmas song? It's interesting, because when Christmas comes around, I look forward to hearing the Jackson 5 Christmas album. Right now, Santa Claus is Coming to Town is what's ringing in my ear in terms of when you just said that question. But I Saw Mama Kissing Santa Claus. There's so many. That whole album I just love. And so I don't, I don't know. Rudolph the Red-Nosed. The whole album's really an incredible album. So I would say I don't have a favorite song now that you asked it that way. Do you know if the estate is working on new projects besides musical like 30th anniversary of Dangerous or 25th anniversary of History. If I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you in that way. Let's see. What are my thoughts of my Aunt Janet's documentary coming out? I'm excited, very excited. I don't know if you guys know, I traveled with my aunt a lot during her tours, and she's just an amazing person in general, amazing artist. And so anything that people can get to know who she is through her story is going to be incredible. And so I'm excited for people to see it. Let's see. Papa T is performing at Long Beach tonight. Are you going? You should. Of course, Yannicka, I'm not going. I said, of course, Yannicka, like that's a question you would ask, but no, I'm not going. I don't know why I'm not going, to be honest. It's funny with me and my brothers and in general, we try and be good sons in that way. And we're my dad's biggest fans. My dad calls us when we do anything, for him, because he's done everything for us in that way. But Long Beach is pretty far. Let's see. What's my favorite Christmas song? Do I celebrate? The staple of Christmas songs now, All I Want for Christmas, Mariah Carey's song. I actually love that song. It reminds me of Christmas. I know it's a newer song in terms of the whole genre of Christmas music, but I do love that song. And yes, we do celebrate. And it's something now that my daughters are getting of that age, Taylor being 3, I'm excited to do this Christmas right. We celebrated last year as well, but I think she was too young to understand it. Now I think she's at that age that she'll appreciate it more. Hi, MJ fam worldwide and Taj. Blessings and light to all of you. I was wondering if you would come back to Amsterdam, Holland when you've played your docu-series, The Transform Marathon. What I plan to do when I finish the docu-series is travel around different countries with it and do Q&As and stuff like that. I want to promote this. I want to make sure as many people see it as possible. And it kind of dedicate my time to do that because it's that important to me. So yes, I can say that there's going to be plenty of countries and cities that I'll be going to because this will be a priority to me. Let's see. Did my uncle drive a car? If so, is there a funny story about it? Yes, my uncle drove a lot. There's something we used to call wild rides. Well, he called them wild rides. And we'd all jump in the car, and then he would take us on this wild ride. Now, for us as kids, I think speed limit wise, it wasn't as dangerous as we thought it was. But he would make it was almost like an amusement ride in a way, and how he drove. I don't know if he drove like that or that was part of the wild ride, but it was a lot of fun. And then we would prank people. We had these things called popper snappers, which are popper snappers or whatever, like these white powder things that you can throw and make bang noises on the floor. Like now you probably couldn't do it because it sounds like gunfire, but back then it was hilarious. And so we used to throw those out of the window and scare people and then laugh and then drive off. And it was very prankish, but it was a lot of fun too. How often did you see Michael after the trial when he passed? Did you ever visit Michael at the Vegas house? I saw him a lot after the trial, but not directly after the trial because he went to Bahrain and all that stuff. and I didn't go. I was working on 3 Key stuff, and then he traveled from there to other places. But when he was at the Vegas house, I saw him a lot in that way, and also when he was staying at the Palms, I saw him a lot. And so I was constantly getting Southwest Airlines and flying to Vegas to see him, and it was always amazing to see him because there's that not only family bond, that friendship that we had in that way that I miss. That's true. Why do I keep picking some people? I don't know. It might be a habit because I recognize their name. It could be. It's not definitely not biasness. It's just, am I kind of looping in a way? How is Miss Katherine? Is she doing well? You know, she's everything, and she is doing well. I love my grandma, obviously, and I try and spend as much time safely with her as possible, just because she's up in age, but also I want my daughters to know how wonderful of a person she is. So we cherish her, and yes. Oh, I'll answer this only because this is something I still see, and the thing about my uncle, faking his death and all that. It's hard on the family. I'm sure it's hard on anyone that knows my uncle in general. It's I would want nothing for it not to be, or for it to be true that he would fake his death. That is beyond ridiculous. That he would leave his family, that he would leave his kids, and no one would know where he is or anything like that. It's the stuff that I would dream, but it's not true at all in that way. And my biggest realization of him not being around any longer was when I had Taylor, or when my wife had Taylor, and we didn't receive that congratulatory phone call from him in that way, because he would have been the first person to call. He probably wouldn't, if he could have, he probably would have been there, after the delivery. But that was kind of the wake up call for me in general, because in my head, I always would kind of psychologically be like, oh, he's on tour, or he's just away doing a music video or something like that. But once Taylor was born, I knew that that was something he would have never missed. I'm trying not to answer or to pick the same questions now. I'm kind of. And I'm trying to get to a. How do I feel about Neverland being sold? That was a hard thing for me originally, just because it's such a staple of my life, and I have so many important memories there, but also good memories there. It was something that I think was bound to happen in a way. And so once I knew the person it was sold to, and I had chatted with that person, then I felt a lot better in it being sold. But it's still hard in that way. Will my doc feature Michael's music videos, and will I need permission? I think you need permission from the state for anything like that, and I'm hoping they give me permission. They know this is coming out, and they said they would help, in any way they could. So I would hope that would be help in that way. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you can't do a docu-series without Michael's music or his videos in it, or some kind of footage in that way. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Am I still answering the questions okay, guys? I'm gonna do I promised that I was not gonna do a long video, so in a little while we're gonna cut it. Not now, but in a little while. Did my uncle ever teach me how to moonwalk? Is that what I think that's what that means? We never asked my uncle how to moonwalk. In general, I don't know why. We just never did in that way. He probably would have if we asked, but we never did in that way. And we never moonwalked in front of him. That would have been embarrassing too. Ooh, this is a good question. Do you know why Michael lip syncs so many songs from the History Tour? That's a hard question. I mean, I've seen stuff, and that was the thing about my uncle being a perfectionist that I think was the hardest thing for him, was that he wanted to give you that energy and performance, but it was also something that, in terms of dancing and singing, it's not something that he felt he could do to the caliber that you guys expected in that way. Now, I know future or past tours he had done certain songs and whatever, but he was never happy with that aspect of it. So I think that might be the reason why he preferred to do lip sync in certain songs and certain things, because he wanted to keep that energy up in that performance. And as an entertainer, that's the best way he felt he could entertain you guys. The hard thing is knowing what an amazing singer he was, that it wasn't even a question, can he sing it? In general, I just think that doing a 2-hour show full energy, something's got to give at some point, and especially doing so many countries and so many places, eventually something gives, whether it's your voice, whether it's your energy. And so I felt that maybe that might be the reason for it. That's just speculation, but that's also me as an artist, thinking that as well. Do I think that some people are still jealous of the success that your family still continues to have? I don't know if it's jealousy. I think it's just, there's something about my family that people don't, because they inspired so many before that came after them, and they were something that people held up in a way as an shining example, that for some reason people like to tear that down, and they want to tear it down, and they don't want people celebrating my family and who we are in general. And I don't know if it's jealousy or just hatred for success, or hatred for the positivity aspect of it. But yeah, that is hard in that way. And yeah, there are definitely people that are, jealous as well. But I think the main thing is just people want to hate in general. It's easier to hate than to love for some people. What do I think of the song Money? I love Money. I know that was something my uncle loved too, that song in general. It's different, in terms of when I first heard it, it was different than anything that I was expecting. But I also, now that I hear that song, I appreciate it a lot more, because it is so reminiscent of what he had to go through. And I thought, what is this? Okay, where am I at? Why does the family let the... Oh, I did check the same person. Sorry. Why does it allow the B. Howard secret son rumor to persist? I thought we always address it. I don't know. Maybe they don't pick up on it in general. Um, Many people have addressed it in that way as false. So I don't know why. I think it's something that just people want to believe, and so they believe it, even though as many times as we address it. The same thing with Michael being alive. We've addressed that, but people still want to go and believe it. Can you tell us the story of when you first met Prince as a baby? I don't have the best memory, but I do know that it was something that my uncle wanted to make sure that we were there for. I think my grandma was there too, or my grandma had already seen Prince. It was one of the two, but I think she was there as well. And my uncle presented Prince, and it was my brothers and my grandma, if I'm not mistaken. He wanted us to be the first to kind of see him in the family, and it was amazing. And I'll never forget his pure joy in showing us Prince. Let's see. How's my Uncle Jermaine doing? I talk to him on WhatsApp every once in a while. I love that man. From what I know, he's doing great. He's someone that is always dear to my heart in general. As someone that loved playing the bass, he gave me one of his bass guitars I still have today. I don't play bass anymore, but I appreciate him doing that. But I love my Uncle Jermaine. I always have, and in general, I'm always a big fan of his. How is the pandemic treating? Pandemic's been hard. It's just I'm a germaphobe in general, and now as my daughter gets older, she wants to go out more, and she keeps saying outside, and so as someone that's a hermit and a proud hermit, we've been having to venture off more, and now she's at the age that going, being safe, but still going out more, and so it's still a little scary for me in that way, but it's something that I'm super cautious of in general. It's more of the environment and the nature of other people, like how everyone else is feeling, and that affects me more than the pandemic does. It's more of the general feeling of people. I don't think I said that smoothly, but I think I know you guys know what I mean. Is 3T ever going to perform together again? We have a show in France next year. It's something that's been pushed back. It was supposed to be. The show was pre the pandemic. I guess not laws, but whatever guidelines in that way, and so it's been pushed back. I think 2 years, but we're scheduled next year to do it in that way. So that's going to be one of the first things we do. I think it's in March. I'm not sure, but yeah, of course we are in that way. I look forward to performing with my brothers again, and I'll be getting my braids back. So I cut my hair short for the time being, but by the time that rolls around, they'll be long enough to get braids again. If your daughters wanted to go into showbiz when older, how would you advise? What advice would you get? It's interesting because I've asked my brothers that. My brothers were completely different than me. They were almost, I don't think they wanted their kids to go into show business as much. They might be a little more tainted than me. I mean, Taylor's such a ham and she's such a natural that I feel like she will be in show. I'm not pushing her to be, but I feel like she's destined for that in general. And Toria, of course, will follow suit if that's what Taylor does. But yeah, advice I would give them is just, I I think if they're their best friends of each other and they're working together, that is extremely important, because I think there's that divide and conquer mentality that people try and get in between your family in that way, because it's something that's easier to do. And so that's what I would say: stay a family unit, and be supportive of each other. To my uncle, to music impersonations of other artists for fun. Yeah, he did. He was such a great impersonator, believe it or not, in that way. And he did impersonations all the time, and it would make us laugh because they were usually spot on in that way. But he was very, very good at impersonating. I'm trying not to ask the same questions from people, if that's, now that I'm cautious of it. I don't know if Jafar is doing new music. I would hope that he is. I love his music, so I would hope that he is. Okay, we're gonna probably cut it soon, only because I'm at the hour mark, and I promise. But I will do more of these, guys, because I know that I'm. Is there anything that I've not answered that you really, really need me to answer in that way? That Will your series discuss other aspects of Michael, like such as yes, artistry, yes, humanitarian work, yes, yes, on all that? I think that all of that is who he was in that way, and his vitiligo, he had to live with that in a way that was not common to people in the spotlight, and so it's the way he had to live with it is different than the way people have to live with it now and are accepted. And so yes, that will, vitiligo will 100% be addressed. His artistry in terms of will of course be addressed, and his humanitarian work will 100% be addressed in that way. So yes. And I haven't heard of the Bruno. I know of the Bruno Mars reference, the song, but I haven't heard it yet. So that's why I'm not answering that question. Well, I just answered it. Did I ever prank my Uncle Michael? All the time. Me and my brothers always pranked him. In general, it was hard to do because he knew us, but we got him a couple times in that way. Especially with our voices, we could get him. And one of the things I always not admire about my uncle, but just our relationship and friendship with him, was that we were always truthful with him. We loved him for who he was, not because he was Michael Jackson, the entertainer. And I think he appreciated that, but we also could tease him a lot about that aspect of it. Katherine was not at Encino the night of the Thriller party because of her religion. She doesn't celebrate Halloween. Does Terrell have the complete You Are the Ones? Because someone asked if he could share that. If he does, then that would be interesting. He might have it on DAT, and he should. Is there anything I learned from my uncle? Everything I learned from my uncle in that way. He was such a teacher. I learned humanitarianism from him and my mom and my dad and my grandma, but mainly as an artist through him, in terms of the responsibility of someone famous or someone with a platform, what they're supposed to do with that platform. the positivity, the going to hospitals, using that platform for good, that comes from him in that way. I'll answer this just very quickly. I'm not allowed to say, only because of what's going on with the Wade and James thing. I don't trust the people on this message board / whatever. Johnny Spence has been someone that they've been hounding and basically harassing for a long period of time. And so I can't answer that question, because the way I answer it could be used against me or could be used against him. And so that's why I've ignored that question. But I just didn't want you to think that I was ducking that question. It's just I have to be careful in general, because there are people that are watching this live stream that will pick every word I say, especially with his name's attached to it. And so he's a dear friend of mine, and I know it's something that his privacy is very important to him. And I will say, if you did see my outfit in Halloween with the ghost, the ghost mask, Johnny is the one that built that or created that. So super talented in that way as well. It was pretty spot on, that mask was. And then what did I think of This Is It, which is something I can't answer. It was hard, because This Is It was something that there's a lot of drama and questions about it in general, of should it be released, should it not be released. And it was kind of bittersweet for me, just because I got to see my uncle for the last time through that. But also the public got to see my uncle again, which was important. But at the same time, there's so much behind the scenes things that still has been unanswered. So I can understand why certain people, question it or objected to it. But then for me, seeing Human Nature, him perform it and stuff, it was emotional for me. I love that song anyway. So am I answering the questions okay, guys? I'm trying to be transparent, but also not to the point where this looks like a deposition that people could use against me. My uncle's favorite movie? Gosh, he had so many incredible movies. I don't know. He always talked about Peter Pan, but I don't know if that was his favorite or his favorite Disney character. But he loved Peter Pan, and in that way. The Disney version, obviously the cartoon version, we watched multiple times. Geez, everything from West Side Story to Sound of Music to Network to Kill a Mockingbird to Captain Courageous to, there's so many. The Window, which is a movie that is a classic that not many people know about. There were so many movies that we watched with him in that way. And he loved Spielberg, so obviously E.T. was dear to his heart. I don't know. I honestly, that's a hard thing. Yes, he loved Three Stooges, even though he didn't like the movies of Three Stooges because it didn't have Curly in them, but he loved Three Stooges. All right, let's wrap this up. What is the one thing that stands out being in the studio with your Uncle Michael? I'll never forget when he did I Need You in there's two stories. When he did I Need You, and Dennis Pop and Max Martin were there as the producers of the song, and he had just come back from, I forgot which song he had done, but it was Down the Street, some rock song that he was doing on his album. I think it could have been Given to me, could have not been. I don't know. I don't even know if the years match up, but his voice was shot, and he was coming just to see how the recording was going, because our studio and his studio was literally 5 minutes away, and so he popped in by surprise, and Dennis Pop and Max Martin said, "Hey, do you want to sing on this?" Because we were doing the song because my uncle loved the song. We didn't like the song, I Need You, because we only heard a version that sounded like a demo. And it was very, but my uncle saw through that demo, and he saw this is an international hit. And so when he popped by, he was popping by to see how the song was turning out. And then, so when he did his ending, that outro of I Need You, that was one take. And that, what you hear is that one take of him, which is perfection to me. And I'll never forget, both Dennis Pop and Max Martin were crying at the end of it, because they were like, never in a million years would we have thought Michael Jackson would sing on one of the songs we were producing. And as you know, Max Martin is one of the biggest producers of all time now. But yeah, it was amazing. I'd seen my uncle sing many times, but never on a song that was going to be on our album. So that was something special in that way. And he did it so easy that it's a little frustrating as someone that singing doesn't come so natural and easy. I mean, he did it so easy. And then he apologized after because he thought he didn't sound good. And so that's what you hear on that song, I Need You, at the very end. That's perfection to me. That's Michael Jackson. That's his raw voice, and that's one take. And then the other story would be Why, which he gave to us basically because it was a song he wasn't going to use on his album, and so it was sitting around, but he had only his backgrounds on it, and it was another case of him popping by and just seeing how the song was going. And he wanted to sing in it as well, which we're not going to tell him no, of course. And so we all had headphones. We all, the four of us had headphones, me and my two brothers and him. And when we're doing our, the very end of the song, we each have a line, like a Tell Me Why part. And so we're doing this, and he's so into the music that he forgot his cue. He forgot when he was supposed to come in. So we looked at him, and then he jumps in and he sings the what you hear. But if you notice, it's off tempo, but it's perfect. It's not off tempo in the song, but how it comes in is it's almost like he forgot to sing, but he jumps in to sing, and it's like an angel singing. It really is. And it's just like, it just shows you, like, you think, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And then you hear him, and it's like, okay, that's just on a different level in that way. And so I love that aspect of it. And that's the thing. That's why Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. That's why his music and his voice still today connects with so many people, because there's something different. Okay. I'm going to close this up in 10 minutes, because then I'll do an hour and 30, and that's still shorter than I've done before, but that's still. Questions. Taj, who were MJ's favorite female rappers? Gosh, I never really asked him. I know, I mean, they're the ones that are the legends today. The Missy Elliott's, he had so many. I think, Queen Latifah was big back then in terms of that. In terms of doing albums, she's huge now in terms of for other things, in terms of film and TV. But back then, as a rapper and stuff like that, I'm trying to think who else. We didn't really. It's weird. Me and my brothers really didn't talk rap to my uncle a lot. Not because we didn't like rap. in general is just because we were always talking to him about like the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, like earlier on stuff as opposed to more current stuff. So I think other family members might have better answers for you, and that, if that makes sense. Someone's asking, will MJ's kids be in the documentary? If they want to be in the documentary, I'm not going to force them to be. Are they helping out with it? They're always helping out with everything I do, because one of the things wouldn't have done this docu-series if I hadn't gotten permission from them, first of all, to do it in that way. My grandma and his kids are the two people that I wanted to make sure that I got permission to do this for, in general. And so they are always part of this, whether they want to be or not. I hope that answers the question. I don't want to say yes or no in terms of, I don't want to force them to be part of this, because that will be something that will 100% be used in marketing or anything like that as a reason why I got it greenlit or this or that. Was my uncle a fan of Travolta? I think that's very much common knowledge to me in that way. Yes, he 100% was. In a lot of the stuff that he did in general, I didn't know of his friendship with him until later on in that way. But yeah, he was a fan of Travolta. Will Shout from the Cry single be re-released? No idea. Will Captain EO be on Disney Plus? No idea. That would be great if it was. Will the Jackson music videos be remastered? It should be. I don't have a clue on those. If any of those things were in my power, all of those answers would be yes. Disney Plus, I think they're still to this day with the Simpson episode, they haven't released the Michael one. That's just still the same, the only one that's not been released in that way, which is a crime in itself. So I have my thoughts about that. Did Michael meet Johnny Depp? I don't know. I know he was a big fan of Johnny Depp in general, and that was pre Jack Sparrow time. And did he like the movie Finding Neverland? I don't know that answer either. I know I love the movie Finding Neverland, and it reminded me a lot of my uncle in that way, the main character in that. But I don't know. Okay, where are we? 7 minutes left. Let's see. Did my uncle like jazz music? He liked all types of music. He played all types of music around us in general. And, jazz being one of the most important music genres of all time, 100% know he liked it. Okay, so Big Al tells the story of Johnny Depp being at Neverland at a charity event. That's awesome. I got to ask Big Al about that. Any memories from what's this one? When will the docu-series be released? Good question. Still working on it. I think one of the hardest things is I see things being done. I'm very aware of Jin's project. I'm part of. I was interviewed for Jin project, Trial by Media, and I see his progress in general, and I'm like. And I know people are asking, well, where's your progress? What are you doing in that way? We're on two different trajectories and also two different ways of shooting style in that way. And the way Jin shoots is perfect for trial by media. The way I'm shooting is not perfect for the current situations of what's happening. Also, a lot of the people that I will be interviewing are of way older age in that sense. So I have to be very delicate in that scenario, in terms of when I can shoot them and how I shoot them. And so that's just the different scenarios, but that doesn't mean, and I know I've said this before, and I'll keep reiterating to you guys, we've made so much progress in the way we've done things in general. So any lost time will be made up in that way, because one of the things for me that's important is that this isn't something that takes decades to do it or anything like that. Like, I want this released ASAP, just like you guys do, but it has to be done right. That's the one thing too, because just like Michael's albums, like no one, well, you guys might, but no one really remembers how late these albums were in terms of release. People just know they're masterpieces in that way, and you get to experience them. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going for that bar where people won't remember, oh, you know, it was supposed to be before the pandemic, and now the pandemic hit, and it's late, and all. People won't remember that, you know, a decade from now, 2 decades from now. They'll just have that material, and that material will speak on its own. Well, I asked Lisa Marie Presley. In due time, 100%. Yeah. I mean, she's an important part to this series in general. I always had a great relationship with her, with me and my brothers in general. You know, so I think that would be something very important in that way to include, and hopefully she'll want to do it. If there's behind the scenes video of why, there's outtakes. If there is behind the scenes video why we don't have it, that'd be a Sony question. They would have it, unfortunately. I am noticing that. There is Jen right there. Hello. Michael ever get cross? That mean mad? Yeah. You know, my uncle's human in that way. My uncle got, you know, upset at injustice, you know, especially if it was about him or anyone that he cared about in that way. Also know that the one time I've seen him get mad in public was just when one of the drivers was almost hit a fan, and he, you know, was so angry in that way. So he was super protective of you guys. If you guys don't know that, I think I've mentioned that before. I think that's what crossed me, right? I hope so. How does Taylor feel about having a sister? Is she excited to be a teenager? She, at first, it was warming up to Toria, which is Taylor's younger sister. Now she loves Taylor. She calls her Sissy Toria, and she loves Toria because Toria makes her laugh, and I can't wait for them to get older, and hopefully they'll be best friends and remain best friends. Okay, where am I at? 2 minutes left. Any memories of 2300 Jackson Street music video? Not many. I think we're wearing our baseball uniforms, so we might have came just from a baseball game down the street. It was amazing because it was shot at our house, our home, me and my brothers and my dad's home, and so that was nice because we didn't have to go anywhere. But it was such great memories in that way of just seeing the family together, and so I love that aspect of it too. Even as young as I was, and I wasn't a teenager, but even so, I knew that the importance of it. Okay, I think is 3T coming to UK? Hopefully. Let's see. All right, I think I'm going to end there only because Do you know? I'm not, guys. I'm not privy to the estate stuff in general, unless it includes the family aspect of it. Because then then I do know certain things. But if it doesn't include the family, then not really privy to it. There's certain things I've overheard, but I can't repeat that stuff. But I would say just keep asking for stuff, and if they have it, they have it. If they don't, they can't materialize something that they don't have. But by you asking, then it's something that I can ask in terms of that way too, because you guys have asked and you guys want it, and I can re-emphasize to them. And that's one of the reasons why stuff like an HD version of this or a 4K version of this is needed, because you guys have made so many questions and comments about it, and same thing about the touring stuff. So I do know they see that stuff, so keep going on that if that's something you guys want in general. I don't have say in that. I can just use my voice in that way. Okay. And some of these other questions, I'm purposely ignoring certain ones just because I can't answer them. So don't think I didn't. Sometimes I saw your question, I just couldn't answer it because I don't want to get not in trouble, but I'm not supposed to answer it in that way until it's announced. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for hanging in there and everything and listening to me blabber and talk. I mainly wanted to do this just because, I know how hard this has been on everyone, this whole journey in general. I mean, this is something that, Taylor was 2 months old when Leaving Neverland came out. And it was a conscious decision on my part and my wife's part that we weren't going to let her grow up in an environment that thought Michael was guilty in that way. And so there's been a lot of sacrifice on this end. And, but not only has it been worth it, but you guys have been there every step of the way and sometimes leading the charge. So that is something that I'm grateful for, because I've never felt alone in this fight for justice for Michael in that way. And so that is one of the things I'm super appreciative of you guys. And it's something that it's been hard to maintain for years and years. But at the same time, I not only truly believe that progress has been made, I know it has. And we can't forget what the environment and tone was like when this first came out. I mean, they were pulling statues, they were pulling episodes, they were pulling him off the radio. We have to remember how far we've come, and now what they're doing. Now they're celebrating him. Now his songs are playing more than ever. Now he's hitting #1 on certain radio stations and certain things. So we have to commend ourselves too. We can't just be like, oh, it's not changing anything. You got to remember there's certain people that will never, you could show them all the evidence in the world and they'll never believe Michael Jackson was innocent because they don't want to believe it. And so they're just a waste of time. Don't waste your time with those people. But then there's people that want to believe in the truth, and those are the people that I will sit there hours with and talk to if they really want to learn and know the truth. But then you have to know the difference, and sometimes you're arguing with a brick wall, and so you got to know that too. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is just to thank you guys in general. And look, this docu-series, what I'm doing it because A, I love my uncle and I want the truth to be out there and undisputed truth to be out there. But B, I love you guys, and I want something that you guys are proud of too, that you guys are excited, and literally it changes that narrative completely. And I know there's other things out there that will help with that too. I think the combination of everything coming out will cement his legacy, and that's going to be a beautiful thing. And a thing that's long coming, and just like Brittany got her freedom finally, there will come a day where Michael will get his, in terms of we'll be able to it won't even be a question anymore. And it never was in our mindset and my history with him in general, but the media will not have that power to make that question anymore. So that's all I'll say, because now I've gone over 5 minutes. But I thank you guys. We'll talk again, and that's pretty much it. I never know how to end these things, so I'm just going to say adios and thank you guys.